Okay, so today I'm explaining the two sets or two types of laws, and they are federal and state, right? So federal has a constitution. States also have constitutions. So in all, we should have 52 constitutions. Why 52? There's 50 states. There's the U.S. of A Constitution. And then there's the U.S. Court Constitution. So 50 plus 1 and 2. So now that we've established the 52 constitutions, so now, what other rules are there? Let's start with state. The state has a UCC. Each state has one. And then there's a federal UCC. So if you can see the pattern, everything the states have, the federal has, more or less. Now, the states also have penal codes. Federal does not. Both also have statutes. So, the statutes for federal are in the U.S. Code. The statutes for state are the state laws, rules, regulations, codes, penal codes. Now again, this is not a full-blown lesson. This is just a generalization so that people can gain a better understanding of what my videos are actually about. We have federal and state. State statutes always come first because it's about the state that you're living in or residing in. But again, we'll get into that as well later. Federal is always supreme. Even though state is first, federal is supreme. So federal trumps state. Always. They both have a constitution, and the constitutions are usually always 9 times out of 10 almost identical, if not identical. So now keep this image in your head because we're going to be going off of this a little bit more. So remember this layout. Okay, so now we're on to the Constitution. Let's talk a bit about the Constitution. What is the Constitution? When was it drafted? When was it created? Who created it? Who did it include? Who did it exclude? These are all the things that are included in my lesson. Again, I'm not going to go through all of that now. This is, again, just a short video. Just going over some basic terms and basic general information. So, we have the Constitution, which is federal and state. Now, the Constitution, when it was first drafted, was federal. Right? And then each state adopted the Constitution. The Constitution, and again, this is just a quick lesson, so I'm just going to give you one example. Excuse the handwriting, not so perfect, but you get the idea. This in itself, plus many other things, I can go on for days, but again, just for a short video, we're going to stick to something simple and quick. Dred Scott verdict simply explains that people of color are not considered U.S. citizens, which means this does not include them. Again, quick lesson, not going into the details. So now, if the federal Constitution did not include people of color, does the state Constitution include it? Absolutely not. Additionally, the Constitution for federal and state is a contract. Right? You need consent. You need 2 or more parties. There has to be full disclosure. Again, just for quick video purposes, a contract needs at least these 3 things. So if you didn't sign on or don't have all these 3 things with the state constitution or the federal constitution, is it for you? Number 1. Number 2, who gives you your rights? Does the state you're born into give you your rights, or does the creator? So now that we know UCC governs business, that means that UCC also governs businesses, we know that the UCC also governs businesses, agencies, companies, etc. Whatever they try and name it as. Corporations, businesses, companies, agencies, admin, whatever they try and name it as. The UCC would govern these things because they are business, and UCC governs business, right? Okay, so now that we know the UCC governs business, what are businesses? Well, businesses are administrative agencies, or to make things more simpler, we can just do this. Sort of what we did just a few seconds ago. So, these are all businesses. An entity, a corporation, a company, business, agencies, no matter what type of name they have in front of them. If it says it's an agency, it is a business. So, what does this all mean? Now we know the federal and state constitution is essentially the highest code, statutes, laws, rules, regulations that you can possibly find, other than human rights. But again, we'll get to that later. This is just a short video, as short as I can make it. So now that we have federal and state constitutions are supposed to be supreme, yet we have people being arrested for things that are not crimes. The only thing that can be considered a crime is if you harm someone or their belongings. So say their property or anything that belongs to them, basically. So federal and state constitution is supposed to be supreme, yet people are being arrested for things that are not crimes. And this constitution and federal and state constitution says that you cannot be arrested for anything other than a crime. Now, that we've established that, and that we've established that these two are contracts and you need to go through understanding contracts and how those work, which you can understand. You can go and study contract law if you're not familiar. So now that we know federal and state constitutions are essentially the same, we ask ourselves, well, what's the problem? What are you explaining? I had some people trolling, like, I don't know you're trolling. Yeah. I had some people trolling, and they try and confuse you with things. So I'm going to make it very simple. Federal and state constitutions, supposedly, are supreme to all other rules, codes, statutes, which they call laws. Right? Because all these are used as synonyms, which means they mean the same thing. So if you see one, you're seeing the other. If you're seeing laws, that means statutes, codes, and rules, regulations. Right? So if someone is being arrested for a penal code, and the penal code says, let's say, for example, I have the right to make more rules and say that if you don't do this or do that, then I can take you to jail. If you don't give me this or that, then I can take you to jail. Why is that a problem? Because supposedly these two things says that this is not allowed. So when people are getting pulled over for traffic infractions, they're getting pulled over for a penal code, which is a state code, because I was pointing like those words were there. These state codes are lessened to penal codes. Penal codes take all of human rights, as well as state codes and statutes. So when people are saying, you idiot, you're a sovereign citizen, you're a moron, you should just do this and you should just do that. Well, no, I shouldn't just do anything. No one should just do anything because someone else says it. And you have to give someone superiority over you in order. So now that we know federal and state constitutions are essentially a contract, who signed it? Well, any public official and or government workers, or more plainly, anyone that works in the public sector. So unless you have a private job or work in the private sector, then you have signed on to abide by these laws, statutes, and codes. So, to get a better understanding about that, you can go study that again. I'm not going to go into everything. So again, just to reiterate, federal and state constitution are supreme. Now, if these are supreme, yet these are happening, what is that telling us? That the people that created these don't even abide by this. Because if they did, we wouldn't have these types of things happening. So, when someone says, oh, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that, when you're traveling, they're lying. Because supposedly, let's say for the purpose of this video, you signed on and agreed to the federal and state constitution. Let's just say that or it included you and you agreed to it. This warrants you protection from this type of thing. Or it's supposed to. But it's not. Religious exemptions are being taken when they have no right to interfere with anyone's religious rights or beliefs or anything of the sort, in order for them to be successful in whatever it is they're trying to achieve or to enforce these things. Now remember, in the beginning, these are a contract. So essentially, so are these. So, if you're being arrested for a penal code or harassed or whatever it is, the state says that this is not allowed. The state constitution, excuse me. The state constitution says this is not allowed, as well as the federal. But yet they're doing it. How? Right? So they cannot take your religious exemptions. And the Creator gave you all of your rights prior to these man-made laws. So someone said in the comments, another troll, of course. This is for you trolls. They said, well, you don't have a choice. You're born into the state laws. And you're subjected to them, and you have no choice. You must abide by them. Really? Really? So I asked them to provide me the statute or code or whatever rule or whatever they want to provide that shows that, as well as proving that this whole system, federal and state constitutions, and everything below it is white supremacy. This is nothing but a white supremacy tool to legally do what they were doing all the years prior. So when I have trolls come into my comments and say, or address these types of situations and say, you got to do it. You're going to do it. You have no choice. You're an idiot. You're a moron. You're a sovereign citizen. They're just proving what's happening and what's been happening. They're just exposing themselves to what everyone is claiming. Because only a certain set of people will tell you you're going to do what someone says and you don't have a choice. Right? That's the way I've seen it from slavery and everything else, from the understanding that I've gained. Someone to tell you that you're going to be born and that you're going to follow some rules or laws that some man made up that has nothing to do with you. And that if you don't, you deserve to be dragged out of your vehicle or automobile, or harmed in some way because you didn't do what they said. So to all you trolls, when I said this video would be for you, here you go. Because you're just exposing this very thing. Oh, you're a terrible mother. You're doing YouTube videos. You don't know anything about law. You don't know this. You're a moron. You're a sovereign citizen. You're the retard. You're the... Oh, why so angry, people? Why so angry? Why so angry? Instead of educating or assisting, you're proving that white supremacy and racism still exist. You don't want us to know this information. You're afraid if we know this information. So this is why I'm sharing. When people are being attacked or physically abused and kidnapped because they don't have a right per their own laws, federal and state constitution says they don't have the right to deprive you of life or liberty, to kidnap you or arrest you for anything other than a crime, which is harming someone. So when they say you're not doing something they want you to do is a crime, that's made up. So until next time, again, I don't want to go in too deep because I do offer personal courses. If you want to contact me, I make sure that you have all documents, all information, all sources, all citations. Everything is extremely thorough. So yeah, I work with a set of great people, great individuals, and if you need any more information or if you want to take those courses, please don't hesitate to contact me. Please do me a favor, like, share, subscribe, comment, and tell me what you guys think. Tell me if there's something that I left out. Again, this is just a short video, so I know there's a bunch of things that can still be covered. But again, those are only done in my full courses. So, yeah, until next time.